Hi all, in this video I want to talk about the three things I needed when I first got ME, CFS, fibromyalgia. This is with the benefit of hindsight. So if you are joining me live, do say hi in the chat. If you're watching the replay, just put hashtag replay. Back in I'm trying to think when it was, in 1997, I went off work and I had kind of flu-like symptoms. And I thought, I'll get better in a week or two. Kept not getting better, kept trying to go back to work. And in the end, I realized I couldn't go back to work until I was feeling better for at least 2 weeks. And in fact, I didn't get back to work for about 9 years. So when I first got sick, I was resting 18 hours a day, and I was resting and sleeping 18 hours a day. I could barely walk for more than a minute, and I was overwhelmed with fatigue and symptoms. And I was unsure of what would help me get better. So looking back, I realized there were three things I needed at that time, but I didn't know what they were. So in this live, I'm going to share what those three things are. I recently went to Dubai to visit my daughter. I went to the Burj Khalifa, which is currently the tallest building in the world. I think there are two buildings being built or planning to be built that's going to be bigger. And, this really represented kind of significance because, as I say, at one point I couldn't even leave the house and walk for 1 minute without payback. So I tried lots of things to try and get my health back. Nutrition, supplements, herbs, seeing an osteopath, seeing a cranial osteopath. And even after 8 years, although I had made some progress, I was still quite limited. I remember seeing a doctor who's trained in nutritional medicine. He was a medical doctor with degrees in immunology and nutrition. He diagnosed certain conditions, candida, leaky gut syndrome, adrenal fatigue. I took supplements to help with those things. And certainly when I followed this protocol for leaky gut syndrome, I found afterwards I was better able to tolerate exercise, and that protocol took 3 months, but I still wasn't well. And he was scratching his head. He said, look, most people, when we've done all this stuff, they're well. And it was only when I kind of got well and got back to work that I contacted him again and said, look, I think I have a better understanding of why I didn't get well. And so he's very interested to meet me and chat more about that. So it was then that I after I'd had the condition about 8 years, this was in 2005, I started learning brain training techniques. And like a week or two before I started that course, I'd been to Spain with a friend, and I was still very up and down. One day I'd be chatting for 15 minutes too long. I'd have to rest for an hour or two to get my energy back. The next day I was cycling. It was very strange, and I couldn't really make sense of it. But when I learned that brain training, it started helping me understand what was going on, and it was the starting point for my healing and recovery. As my health improved over a short period of time, I decided to train as a hypnotherapist coach and train in the brain training approach that had helped me. So at the time I wasn't fully well, so it was a bit of a stretch. But doing that course was one of the best things I've done, because it kind of, every month, once a month, I'd drive up to North London. I live in South London. It's about an hour's drive. I would spend the whole of Saturday and Sunday on this course. I'd stay up there. And as I say, it was a stretch to begin with, but it was great to be reconnecting, to kind of feel a bit more normal, learning stuff, meeting new people, a couple of whom are still very good friends. And I got back to work. I got back to working full time. I got back to playing sport again, going to festivals, living my life. I did get an injury a while back, which has slowed me down a bit, but life is still great. I still get out of bed. I got up, I think, about 6 o'clock this morning because I was awake, and, kind of did some exercise for a couple of hours, and then I've been working. So I really want to share what's helped me, and on reflection, what have really helped me when I first got sick. And I'm sharing this in the hope that it gives you food for thought. Just to be 100% clear, I want to say that I believe that ME, CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID, and related conditions are real physical conditions. Okay? So if what I share isn't relevant to you and your condition, I hope you find solutions. So, what are the 3 things I needed? And if you are watching, do say hi. Do let me know where you are in the world if you like. So, the first thing I needed was a good listener. It would have been really useful to have someone to talk to because there was a lot of emotions going on as a result of becoming unwell and having to give up work. I had been a really active person. I played football, I played tennis, I'd go swimming, I'd cycle to work and back. Sometimes that was about a 20 odd mile round trip because I'd go and visit my girlfriend who lived up a big hill, and then I had to go up another hill to where I lived. So I was very active, kind of enjoyed going out, socializing. I realized I did have the tendency to burn the candle at both ends, and that didn't help. But yeah, number one, it would have been great to have a good listener, someone who just said, "Look, just tell me what's on your mind, get things off your chest." And I realise that, with the benefit of hindsight, that may have been available to me at the time, but I didn't really seek it out because I had, there were particular people in my life who I could have talked to. I had few friends who were actually kind of therapists, so they would have been happy for me to just chat to them, but I didn't kind of realise that that's what I needed. I probably needed to kind of work on my grief, because going from being an active working person to, lying in bed is a pretty big change in one's life. So that was the first thing I needed. The second thing I needed was a guide. It would have been really useful to have someone, number one, tell me that I was going to get well. Number two, tell me that I really needed to understand the condition and what could help. Sorry, I think someone's... let me just turn off all my mail. Let's just go. All right. Sorry, I forgot to do that. So yeah, what could help me understand the condition? What could help? What was stopping me from healing? And the mind-body connection and its role in healing. Now, as soon as you say, "Oh, the mind-body connection," people start thinking, "Are you saying it's all in my head?" No, it's not all in your head. As I've said, it's a very real condition. But our mind can affect our body. Okay, that's a factual statement. That's something that's been verified. We know, if you read Professor Robert Sapolsky's book, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, he goes into great detail. He's one of the most respected researchers. That's from Stanford University. And he goes in detail about how our mind can affect our body. We all have experience of that. If you've ever got a lump in your throat because someone's said or done something and you feel upset, that's an example of the mind affecting the body. And our mind can activate the stress response. The stress response can stop the body or can slow down the body's healing. Okay, so I was very stressed before I got sick, or before I went off, and I was still very stressed when I went off sick, and that was hindering my body's attempts to heal. I also needed to understand that I needed to learn how to work with symptoms and emotions in a deep transformative way, and that's something I learned when I started doing these brain training techniques, and when I learned an approach called the Mind-Body Reconnect, which is all about having an understanding of the relationship between our brain and the symptoms, emotions, sensations we experience. Okay, so I also needed to understand that there were tools that could help me influence my biology and physiology. Okay, so I had to wait for 8 years before I started really getting that information. And my hope is that you get that information more quickly. I was at a conference on Saturday, and there were people like Dr. Howard Schubiner, Dr. Rebecca Kennedy or Becca Kennedy, and lots of other really amazing people. I'll make another video maybe talking about that. But these are all people who want to help you. And there are lots of free resources, to help you have a better understanding of this condition. One of them is, there's a free course by Howard Schubiner. You can access the Curable app, and I think you get access to that for 6 weeks. I will pop a link below. I am about to dive into that. It's something I've been very interested in learning more about, but a lot of people say that that has helped them. All right. So the third thing that I would have got from a guide is a bit of tough love, saying, look, there isn't a magic wand. You are going to have to make changes. You're going to have to shift your mindset, because our mindset can affect our physiology and biology. Okay? If I'm experiencing symptoms and saying to myself, I'm never going to get well, that's going to generate stress in my body. And as I've already said, that stress stops the body, slows down the healing, hinders recovery. Okay? I would have had someone saying to me, you've got to do the work that's going to help you heal. You've got to do the work that's going to uninstall the fear operating system, because I was in a lot of fear, and install the trust operating system. And that, operating from a place of trust, again, that affects our physiology, our biology. Okay? The third thing I needed was a tribe. I needed to find my tribe. I realized there were some people who were not encouraging and could easily kind of feed my fear. Some people scoffed at my efforts to do things that may support my recovery. And sadly, some of those people, I was in an ME CFS group, and some of those people are still unwell, and, I know that some people are kind of starting to explore some of these approaches that I'm kind of talking about here. And I did meet those people who I call them explorers, people who were exploring recovery without ignoring common sense, okay? And that's why I created a website called ME CFS Explored, okay? Because those people were my people, okay? And they were my cheerleaders, okay? And I also realized that I needed to be my own cheerleader. I needed to let go of my inner critic. So that's a brief summary of my kind of turning point. And I will share more videos expanding the points that I've made in this video. But I'd really love to know what's your takeaway from watching this video. So do leave a comment in the chat. Your comments help other people find this video. If you do like this video, do subscribe, hit the notification button. You'll be notified of more content. Do join my Facebook group for explorers, people who are exploring what can help them recover. And we're all different. So what works for one person might not suit another. Okay, so it's important that you kind of have a good understanding of some of these principles of what has helped people heal and recover. Unfortunately, there are researchers who are interested in studying how people have recovered, okay, and hopefully that'll give us people more insights into what can help. So do join my Facebook group if you'd like more tips. I post every day stuff to help you, and you are welcome to join the Resilience Group Coaching. Twice a month I do live coaching call. There's no charge for that. You are welcome to make a donation. If you can't afford that, no problem, but you're not obliged to either. So if you'd like to join that, pop the word group below this video. And the really exciting thing I want to share is I have been given permission to offer the Mind Body Reconnect as a group course. So it's going to be a 12-week group course. So if you're interested to know more about that, then comment Mind Body below and I'll send you the details. If you've got any questions, let me know. If you have got any topics that you would like me to cover, then again, let me know. Either post a comment below, get in touch. If you go to my YouTube homepage, click on the ME/CFS Explored below the video, you'll see there's a place where you can get in touch. So keep going. You've got this. Dare to dream big dreams. Wishing you great health. Thanks for watching this video. See you in the next video. Bye for now.